nuptials, and then back east with my bride. Surely the Navy could spare me for 72 hours. So I was flabbergasted when my request was denied. What would I tell my fiance? Eileen reacted in her typically restrained manner when I called her with the unhappy news. They can't do that. The invitations have all been sent out and the caterer has been paid. The flowers have been ordered. We're expecting 200 guests. You'll have to find a way before my mother sticks her head in the oven. What can I do? How can I fight the Navy? I've pleaded with my superior officer. He reminds me there's still a war going on. Sure, he says the Germans have surrendered, but the Japanese haven't given up. Beating those guys is not going to be easy. The invasion of Tokyo Bay will make D-Day look like a family outing. Tell your superior officer you have to come home and make an honest woman out of me. Oh, sure, that will go over great with the Navy. It will look terrific in my personnel file, too. They'll bust me back to seaman second class faster than you can say, I just had my period after all. Tell him that your future mother-in-law is going to have a stroke, and the responsibility will rest squarely on his shoulders. He couldn't care less. Don't forget, I'm an officer and a gentleman by an act of Congress. In any case, my superior doesn't have the authority. The commander of the post makes the final decision. Then talk to the commander. You must be kidding. Haven't you ever heard of the chain of command? I can't simply go over the head of my lieutenant. You know, you're full of excuses. What should I tell my mother? She'll never believe you couldn't find a way if you really tried. I love these constructive suggestions. Perhaps we can get Hirohito to call off the war for a day. You're very funny, but I'm not laughing. I know you'll come up with a solution. Honey, I'm counting on you. Why was the whole burden falling on my shoulders? What chance did I have against the vast naval bureaucracy? I didn't know where to turn. Feeling desperate, I decided to appeal to Lieutenant Jenkins one more time. Stopping by his office between classes the next day, I told him of the conversation with my fiancée. He listened patiently, but remained impassive. And when he ended my plea, he launched into a lengthy lecture, contending that the younger generation was sorely lacking in dedication, had lost all sense of purpose and infinitum. Leaving his office, I marveled at the critical role I was apparently playing in the war effort. Several weeks later, my problem remained unresolved and time was quickly running out. I debated with myself all day, and then I resolved to call Eileen after my last class and report that our prospects were looking dim. Back at the dorm, I checked the mail before going up to my room. One envelope had the Navy's return address on it. No doubt a routine communique further restricting our activities. I patiently tore it open and saw 3 typewritten lines. Your request for a 72-hour leave commencing at Saturday noon, June 2nd, 1945, and expiring at Tuesday noon, June 5, 1945, has been granted. I pinched myself to make sure I wasn't dreaming. Finally assured that the memo was authentic, I let out a war whoop and then stopped dead in my tracks and asked myself, why had the commander changed his mind? Could Lieutenant Jenkins have found my appeal so persuasive that he had passed it on to the higher-ups? Suddenly I noticed the signature at the bottom of the page. Commander Morris Paradise. Morris Paradise? My Aunt Zelda's stepson. I vaguely recalled meeting him once when I was a young child, but he certainly didn't remember me. The two families had lost contact long ago, and I couldn't possibly have known that he was my commanding officer at the school I had been attending for the past month. All the pieces fell into place. Mother had obviously talked to her sister, who had asked Maury to intervene, and Zelda had always been there for me when the chips were down. She'd been like a second mother. However, She had outdone herself this time. Still in a daze, dashed up the stairs and dialed Eileen's number. One of her sorority mates answered, called her to the phone. Hi, honey. I've got some good news. Plus a message for your mother. She can bake a cake in that oven instead. Oh, and one thing more. Tell her I did it my way. Next turn. Whoever's up. All these teachers.